You know what I love? Drafting games. I am completely obsessed with them. Whether it's cube drafting in a trading card game, Magic booster drafts, the Hearthstone Arena, Dominion and the billion other tabletop games inspired by Dominion, Slay the Spire, freaking 5-card draw. Drafting games give you the ability to build your strategies on the fly, and almost every game or run gives you a new set of choices to make. You know what else I love? Tactics games. I've got this ongoing joke with my friends. If the game is on a grid, I've probably played it. Final Fantasy Tactics, Fallout Tactics, Fire Emblem, Devil Survivor, XCOM, Into the Breach, Disgaea, Gloomhaven, freaking chess. There's just something elegant about picking up pieces and moving them around the board one thoughtful decision at a time. So imagine my shock when I hear that a new genre is sweeping the scene and blowing up on the top streams. Some people call it auto chess, others call it auto battlers, but there's a huge new craze that combines a constant mix of drafting and tactical placement. Two of my greatest gaming loves finally combined into one thing, and it's actually popular? I had to try it. And it is alright. It's solid. It's pretty fun, I guess. Let's talk about it. Auto chess games are super new, like 2019 new, and developers are already scrambling to cash in on that new craze. Dota Auto Chess is a mod for Dota 2, which is pretty wild to think about considering that the original Dota was a mod for Warcraft 3. We're multiple mod layers deep, but I'm honestly not that surprised because history has shown that modders are great at making things that people didn't even know they wanted. The genre is pretty clever. You spend rounds drafting different champions, saving money, and equipping items. If you collect enough unique champs of the same type, you get additional passive buffs across your whole team. They each have a unique set of skills, powers, and behaviors, and while you do control where you place them down onto a grid, the champions fight automatically based on their scripted behaviors. You sit back and watch the action without lifting a finger. You battle either AI-controlled mobs or other players in an 8-person showdown. When your army loses, you take life point damage. Drop to 0 and you're out of the game. It's Battle Royale, but for tactics and drafting junkies just like me. As of right now, there are 3 main games for this new mix. The original makers of Dota Auto Chess, Drodo Studio, went on to make their own standalone auto chess game with original characters. Auto Chess Origins. Valve took the formula and their Dota characters and made Dota Underlords. And of course, Riot's League of Legends has a version that they've been updating called Teamfight Tactics. All 3 of these games are being constantly updated and are in early access or beta-like states, but I decided to go with Teamfight Tactics. It seems to be the most popular with streamers, and it's the one that my friends are all playing, so I dove in. Whoa, whoa, what's that? Who are they? What are we doing? What does this do? Who should I pick here? And where should I place them? Oh man, I'm on the clock. Oh man, what the hell have I gotten myself into this time? Last time I played League of Legends was 10 years ago. I got it as a gift during college in a box with a disc. It was probably the last time I used a disc to install a PC game. Anyways, it was fun, but I was still obsessed with StarCraft at the time because I liked being able to control my full army versus just one dude. And who wants to play on a team with random people? So my first steps into Teamfight, I had no idea who these people were or what they did or how well they've been translated to this completely different game type. In fact, I had no clue what I was doing at all because this screen is pretty much the only tutorial the game mode has right now. They just chuck you into the deep end of the pool. Hope you learn how to swim in the next 10 minutes or you're gonna die! It took a long time of talking with friends, watching tutorials, and tweeting some of my crazed and constantly changing opinions, but after a couple of days I got the hang of some of the game's major strategies. The same way I learned more about a new magic set the more that I draft it, I slowly learned the ropes, which characters and items are worth looking for, optimal places to set your team, which synergies are the strongest, and most importantly, establishing a good economy. The game right now has a clever system that encourages you to walk a line between being fiscally conservative or reckless. If you hold your cash, you start to build interest every round you have leftover dough. The interest bonus caps out once you hit $50 bill. So a lot of players will hold their money until 50, make the best forces they can with limited cash, and then drop massive dollars in the mid-game to make a big comeback. At its peak, this game is a blast. Seeing different characters and items almost every game keeps it from getting stale, and while the drafting is a little different than your traditional card game, I still felt that same tension of making crucial decisions at every turn. The tactics portion of Teamfight Tactics is definitely a lot less deep than the usual grid game I play, but I'm fine with that because every round is timed and the game length is solid. Most of my games took less than half an hour. There are brief, glimmering moments where I think that this is a game that I could dedicate all my time to, playing with friends and maybe even going deep enough to play it competitively. And then other moments I'm like, nah, this game's actually garbage, why do people like this so much? I haven't been in a state of flux like this for a video game, maybe ever. But since Teamfight Tactics is so new and still in beta infancy, it still has plenty of time to iron out the things that I hate, to add more things to the game and make it into the perfect combination of two genres that I've always dreamed of. Here are my 3 biggest gripes with Teamfight right now. 1. The information. There is so much info in this game. Character classes, attack type, range, DPS, stat changes when you collect multiple of a champion and level them up. Every single item can combine with another item to form a completely new item with brand new passive buffs. There's a specific bonus to your income that'll come with win streaks, and then there's also the interest, and depending on what level you are, there are completely different odds for what rarity of champion you'll see in each pack you look at. This is insane! Some of these numbers and values are straight up invisible to the player right now. They're just things that you gotta learn from other sites and guides. I play most of my games with some big ass chart taking up my entire second monitor just to give me supplementary info on the fly. The early game is really slow, but by the mid and late game, only having 30 seconds to make dozens of decisions in a short amount of time without having all the proper info to judge those decisions is just nuts. It looks like Riot has some plans to update the UI in the next week, but in general, I'm a big fan of giving players the option to see as much info as they want to see within the game client itself. 2. The Carousel. I hate the Carousel with a fiery passion, which is pretty funny because it's one of Riot's few original contributions to the genre right now. Most of the time when you're picking champions, it's through this shop screen here, but every once in a while, and at the very beginning of the game, they throw all 8 players into this satanic ritual. Every character stands around and waits to physically move into a character and item combo of their choice. In the beginning, it's pure pandemonium, but in the later rounds, players are released out of a cage in reverse standings order, with lower health players getting the first pick. All these champions and items are unlabeled, and since I don't play League of Legends, it took me forever to figure out who on earth this is in comparison to these. And the item images are just tiny. It just feels weird needing to play a dexterity game in a genre that's built around not being a dexterity game. The space between each pick is pretty small, and it's not super uncommon to pick something completely different than what you wanted to by mistake or getting bumped. Even though they award the losing players the earlier picks, sometimes the pick that you want's on the other side of the wheel, and by the time you get to what you actually wanted, someone who was winning at a higher rank than you might take it because they were closer to where that thing was before you were. I don't have a lot of personal, emotional stock in my little legend. I don't really care about moving that around so much. I'd love if the group drafting phase was just a pick-by-pick screen where people click in order on what they want. But if they're going to be insistent on keeping this abomination in the game, it would at least help if we could see some cleaner info for what characters, classes, and items we're looking at. And big issue 3, the RNG. Now, randomness is kind of a silly thing to talk about in a genre that's intentionally random. You've got different tools to build an army with every game, that's RNG. There's a % chance of things firing or getting a miss or a critical. I have no problems with any of those random events. What I hate right now is item RNG. Every time you defeat one of the AI creep wave creatures, there's a fairly small chance that a random item pops out of one of them. Items are absurdly important in TFT. They can easily swing entire matches in or out of your favor or carry your entire team on their own. There are no guarantees to get an item from the AI waves, and getting those games where nothing drops just feels terrible. This is another issue that Riot has noted and intends to fix in the future, both by adding some guaranteed item drops and experimenting with different types of rewards other than just items. Even though I wasn't there when the auto chest craze first dropped, I feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice by only playing one of the big 3 games right now, so I tested some games at the other 2. Both of these games have a huge plus that Teamfight lacks right now, and that is I can play them on my phone. You've seen all the great lengths I'll go to in order to make my games more portable, and there is no portable gaming system better for this style of game than a simple touchscreen. I started with Auto Chess, not the original Dota Auto Chess, but the Drodo Studio standalone. Right off the bat, I could see how blatantly Riot's version rips off the original formula. Sure, the characters are smaller and cuter and everyone's screaming in Chinese, but it's pretty much the exact same game. Lining up classes, drafting, collecting bank interest, etc. Your items don't combine, so that's a little simpler, but there are more total characters and classes to juggle. It's by far the ugliest game of the three, it's got cosmetic gacha, and it's full of crude English translation grammatical errors, but I still have some fun with it. Dota Underlords is currently the only game of the bunch available on both phones and PC. I feel like you can really tell they planned on pushing this game to mobile as quickly as possible, because the control scheme feels kinda clunky on PC. Clicking and dragging and swapping out my army did not always go as I planned. Underlords has a fix for almost every issue I had in Teamfight. They've got a tutorial, you can practice with bots, their UI lets you view a lot of easy information at a glance, there's no carousel, and every AI creep wave gives you a guaranteed item or buff that you get to choose from in a stack. If you lose, you don't get to choose which buff you get, but no matter what, you're getting something. And yet, despite all this stuff that I think is objectively better, I had less fun with this than Teamfight. The less optimal controls are a small part of it, but here's some other things that stood out to me. Even with no nostalgia for League of Legends, I like the Teamfight characters, animations, and world designs a lot more than Underlords. I guess that's just a rehash of the age-old Dota versus League art style argument, and even though I don't play either game, I guess I'm on the League side of this one. Another key difference in the Dota game is that losing a round is a lot less punishing. This gives you way more opportunities to build an army of your dreams and bounce back, but it also pushed my game time up to 40+ minutes per match. I think Teamfight Tactics has really nailed the pacing for this style of game, making it nice and quick to hop in, try a new strategy, and then jump back in for another run. And finally, I just don't have any friends that are playing Underlords right now. This genre is a blast to play with friends in a private match, yelling at them for taking the pick that you wanted, laughing when you get the busted item and they didn't, rooting on your army that you have zero control over once the battle actually starts. I have that with Teamfight, and I just don't have it here. But what I do have with all of these games is an exciting prospect for the future. None of these games are perfect. Yet. But they're all being worked on and constantly improving. And I wouldn't be shocked if more companies want to try their unique twist on drafting in the next year or two as well. On paper, auto chess games line up with my interests so hard that it has the potential to produce one of my favorite games of all time. And that's a pretty exciting thought.